To use the clock time. I always use all kinds of things to seed random numbers. Basically, after you get your random object declared, look how easy this is. You basically say random object dot next. Next gives you the next random number, and this right here lets you set the min and max value of that random number. Give me an example of when it's important to set the upper and lower bounds of your random number. Anybody ever play Yahtzee?
Yes. Yeah,
okay, so what if...
can't be 100.
Right, so how many sides are there on a dice?
5.
Right?
Or
so if
6.
okay, your 5-sided dice, if you're simulating Yahtzee, you're going to need 5 random numbers, right? And you're going to roll your dice, and each of them ought to go from 1 to 6. If you don't have the boundaries on there, or if you set it to 1 to 100, you're playing D&D Yahtzee, and that's an entirely different game. So what I did is I set my maximum value to be 100. So what do you think would happen if I set it to be 5?
It'll be 0 through 5s.
Yeah. All it is 0 through 5. And I can actually set to happen and say I want it to go 10 to 50. I can set the minimum and the maximum on that.
Will you actually hit your minimum, or is it one above your minimum?
It says the exclusive upper bound of the random number returned. The max value must be greater than the upper bound. I think you probably would actually hit your maximum and your minimums. Well, let's pretend we had a dice, right? 1 to 6. So we know we hit 1.
We hit 1.
So a fun way to do this, if you're bored, is we could say for I as integer equals 1 to 100, and then we could say...
create a list box with everything it gets.
Right, we could say list, and we already have a list box too, dot items dot add. So now we click that. So I see there's our numbers.
You won't get a 6.
I don't see any 6s. I see some 1s. I wonder if. Hold on, let me look at this. Read this. Okay, let's get the words right. This says it's the inclusive lower bound.
So that's going to include 1.
Exactly, but this is the exclusive upper bound, so it will never give you 6. So if you want 1 to 6, you better tell it basically 1 to 7.
And that was my 5-sided dice.
There's your, that was a 5-sided dice.
It's real. Yeah. It's really real.
So random numbers are used in almost every game, right? You use them all the time when you roll a dice or you do anything, you spin a top.
Draw cards.
Draw cards, sure. When, you think, does this use random numbers here? If you go to, what is it, Solitaire, my favorite game?
Yeah, your cards are randomly chosen.
52, 1 to 52, and it went, basically what should go here? I'll pick one of the 1 to 52. Now, what's different about dice than is about cards from a random number perspective? You can't roll. Yeah, I do have faces, but think about it. If I have dice and I roll 5 dice, can they all contain the same value?
Yes.
But if I have cards and I have 5 cards, can any of them contain the same value?
No.
Unless you're playing a weird kind of pinochle game or something. So if this card uniquely between 1 to 52, let's pretend this was number 12, I need to take out that number 12, right? And if I ever, so when I generate my next random number, I need to remember that 12 is already taken. Does that make sense? So I probably would have to have something in my loop, do I equals 1 to 52, where I was going to generate, well, maybe that wouldn't be, let's see, 52 times, I want to deal 52 cards. Yeah, I have to keep track of which ones I've already used, so that if I land on that one again, I remember I have to kind of re-pick a different card. Does that make sense?
So just a question. Solitaire is not random. is you can pick a game number and bring back that exact deck order.
You can?
So you're picking your seed.
Your
Deck.
Maybe not on this one, but the
Now,
older
this is-
one you could go back to what game you were on.
Oh, you mean like if right here, then
No, you could actually bring back the exact deck
I think
order.
that's free cell, not
Oh,
solitaire.
free cell?
what it must do is that must be kind of a saved game state where it remembers the state and use of each card in play.
Well, it didn't bring back, like, if you've already played, it would bring back that exact deck setup.
You mean the order of that deck? Oh, that must be free cell. You guys have
Okay.
a lot of time on your hands. I gotta tell you, I think the only thing you can choose here is your little astronaut card. I used to play a lot of solitaire. Alright, so random numbers, really useful. VB, of course, this random class makes them very easy. That was all I had. Any questions about the lab? Any questions about my weekend? I don't know. What do you guys want to
What are
hear
you doing
about?
this weekend?
Oh, you know, I'm probably coding and cleaning my garage. It's going to be
Sounds fun.
What do you code on the
fantastic.
weekends?
I
You bring your
have
your
side
work home with
projects.
you?
Sure. Who doesn't bring their work home with them? Got a site I'm working on launching, so it's got to go live this weekend, and if it does, the owner's going to get written up in Read Write Web, which is this big, huge blog, and so it's got to not crash when 1 million people hit it on Monday. So,
What's the IP address? We'll
yeah, that'll be
we'll
great.
overload it, okay?
Thanks for your time. That's it for me. That's all I have.
We'll all set up things and,
Everybody will access it. We'll create an array that keep accessing.
yeah, and set our ping value to something extremely high.
The ping of death.
That's the best. That's the best way to make
Except
it crash.
now, most computers and servers are rejecting.
They are.
You can get around it.
Do you ever